Hey everyone, Victoria Haffer here of Center of Possibilities. And I wanted to come to you today and chat with you a little bit about insomnia. I think, I'm not sure the exact number, but I know that there's many thousands and thousands of people who are challenged with insomnia, lack of sleep. And certainly there's lots of logical reasons for why people can't sleep. I actually did a video on that at an earlier time. Check it out in my channel. All the basics of, the overthinking, over worrying, too much caffeine, have your hormones checked, all of that good stuff. But this video is not about that. This video is about, I used to think that I just had regular insomnia. I don't have it every single night, but I would definitely be challenged by um, tossing and turning, and it turning into an hour or longer. And what I have found over my experience of being in that space, of the frustration that it creates when you want to go to sleep, and the more you kind of get deeper and deeper and deeper into that space of insomnia, is that it was my spiritual team. It was my creative muse actually reaching out to me and saying, we have information for you. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I was definitely challenged with sleeping. And my beloved was next to me and he was out cold. My beloved Thor, my pup of thunder, was sleeping next to me. He was out cold. Everybody in the house was sleeping except for me. And, I was tossing and turning, and I thought, why don't I just get up? And so I wound up getting up, and it was probably about midnight. And I went outside and turned the outside light on. And then I see this thing happening on my fence. And what it turned out to be it was two slugs. I don't know if you know anything about slugs, but two slugs that were actually having sexual intercourse with each other. I had no idea. I knew there were slugs. I didn't know what was happening. And it was like they were connected and they were just twirling and twirling and twirling and twirling. And then all of a sudden, these things started to come out of their bodies, these like long, thin structures from their bodies. And anyways, come to find out it was their private parts. And that I found out that slugs actually can co-create with themselves, and so they don't need another slug to create babies. But anyways, it was amazing. It was fascinating. It was magical. It was wonderful, and I totally felt like the grandmother moon was calling me to go outside and to get to experience that. And then many other times I have had experiences where I wake up and I can feel the creative juices kind of flowing. And let me know in the comments if any of you have ever experienced this before. My creatives, my authors, my healers, my teachers, artists. And then I start to download this information. And I've heard a lot of authors who have done this before, where you just get this massive download. And so this actually happened to me last night. I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning. I have not ever been up that late before. 2 different massive downloads. One was a new project that's coming out that was brilliant. And I was like, oh my goodness, where did this come from? And people say, well, where does that come from? In the spiritual realm, we know that we are multi-dimensional beings who have chose to incarnate into this lifetime in this physical body. So yes, you have the physical manifestation, and you have to deal with the ego side of you, and all the trials and tribulations and the challenges that you had, maybe growing up, and all of it. And then you have this part of you that I like to call the divine self, or that you might hear it as the higher self, or the authentic self. And that's the part of you that is all knowing, all loving, and non-judging. And that's our soul. It's our soul body that holds all of the wisdom via the Akashic records of all of the lifetimes that we've lived, and all of the knowledge and our experiences and our passions and all of it, right? So we're able to tap into that when you're in that space of the divine, what we call the divine flow. And often during the day, we have so many constraints of the people around us, maybe your kids or your family, friends, coworkers, and there's just so much noise, energetic noise happening, that we may not be able to be open to receive the downloads. And so your spirit team is going to say, well, I can get your attention, at 11 o'clock at night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, when nobody's making a sound and it's really quiet, and then you can listen. So as much as I appreciate the information that I received, which is amazing, I'm so excited to share that with you, that can be challenging if that's happening to you often. So I will say that you do have control over it. And you, step one is you want to build a relationship with your spiritual team. I have another video on here that I talked about what is your spiritual team? Who is your spiritual team? We all have a spiritual team, and it can be made up of, spirit guides and power animals and loved ones who have crossed over, and archangels and goddesses and ascended masters and teachers, and star people, right? The galactic star nation and whatnot, depending on where you have actually incarnated from. So you just want to be into that space of like, okay, if you're not sure what your spiritual team or who is it, just ask. Ask that you receive information and be open to receiving it. Be open to receiving the information, because often we're just moving so quickly, like a bunch of little hamsters on the wheel, that the treadmill that just keeps going and going and going until we're forced to shut down, and so it's pretty cool. It's pretty fascinating. And when I came to that realization, before, I just was like chalking it up as, I have insomnia, and that may be the case, but I'm inviting you to look at things a little bit differently and just go to that space and say, is there something that my spiritual team or one specific entity, energy, guide they're trying to give you information? And then just ask them. I always keep a notebook or a journal next to my bed. Luckily, my beloved doesn't get bothered by the light being turned on, because I did that a few times last night. But it was like they would not let me go to sleep until I was able to just put all that information that they were downloading and communicating to me down on paper. And then I was finally able to go to sleep. So I hope that was helpful for you. I'd love to hear from you, and if that jives with you, if you've had that experience, or if that shows up for you, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Be the magic you want to see in the world.